Hello and welcome back to Deep Sleep Creep's YouTube channel. Today we're going to be listening to 3 more horror stories. If you enjoyed listening to it, please consider commenting and subscribing. So get comfortable and let's begin. I'm 30 years old now, but what I'm about to tell you is a scary story of what happened to me when I was 9 years old. To this day, it still sends shivers down my spine. I want to share this story so I can warn others the dangers of a seemingly peaceful evening at a lake can turn into something dangerous really quickly. It was a bright, hot summer day, the kind that makes you feel alive and carefree. My 5 cousins and I were staying at our family's lake cabin, just like we did every year. The lake was our playground, and we loved hunting for seashells in the private area beyond the trees. That day started like any other. The sun was high in the sky, and the water was invitingly cool. We swam, laughed and splashed until we got bored and/or tired. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We didn't know that at the time and asked our parents when dinner would be ready. They told us it won't be for another several hours. Instead of drying off and going back into the cabin, we decided to grab a bucket and explore a private area along the channel for some shells. As we made our way to the secluded spot, a sense of excitement mixed with nervousness took hold of me. I remembered the strange feeling I had, as if someone was watching us from the shadows. But, being kids, we brushed it off as our imagination playing tricks on us. Once at the private area, we started searching for shells with delight. It was then that I saw him, a man lurking behind the trees, his eyes fixated on us like a predator eyeing its prey. My heart pounded loudly, and fear gripped me like never before. "Guys, look over there," I whispered, pointing towards the trees. My cousin Emily frowned. "Who is that? What does he want?" We huddled together, unsure of what to do. As we played, the man's gaze never wavered, and I felt his cold stare crawling under my skin. Suddenly my dad appeared, shouting, "What kind of cheese would you like on your burgers?" Instead of responding, we looked at him with a worried look, constantly eyeing our eyes over to the man behind the trees. At first he was confused, but as he approached, his eyes caught the unsettling sight of the man behind the trees. I saw his face contort with anger, his jaw clenching tight. He saw the man and stormed over, his fury palpable. "Hi, who are you? What are you doing here watching the children?" he demanded, his voice sharp and commanding. The man's lips curled into a sinister smile, but he didn't utter a word. Instead, he retreated further into the shadows, never breaking eye contact with my dad. His silence was unnerving. My dad took a step forward, ready to confront the stranger, but my uncle and the other parents joined him. The man seemed to realize he was outnumbered and vanished into the woods, disappearing like a wisp of smoke. "Come on, kids, you're done swimming for the day. Let's get you back into the cabin so you can wash up and get ready for dinner," our dad said in a stern but gentle voice. Without argument, we got ready for dinner and had a great meal and a good rest of the evening. The rest of the vacation was marred by that unsettling encounter. We kept our distance from the private area, and the lake lost its carefree charm. Our parents were vigilant, never letting us out of their sight. Now, as an adult, that memory haunts me. I can't help but wonder what that man wanted and why he was watching us. Was he a mere creep or something more sinister? The unanswered questions gnaw at me, and the lake that once held cherished memories now fills me with unease. Life moved on, and we grew up, but that experience changed us. We learned to be more cautious and aware of our surroundings, but we also knew that sometimes darkness could creep into even the most idyllic places. I'll never forget the summer of my 24th birthday, when my friends and I decided to spend a weekend at Lake Ravenwood. It was a beautiful, secluded spot, surrounded by lush forests and untouched wilderness. The lake was known for its serene beauty, but little did we know that beneath its tranquil surface lay a hidden terror that would forever haunt us. We arrived on a Friday evening, eager to escape the city's chaos and unwind in nature's embrace. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting an orange glow over the lake, We set up camp near the water's edge. The night was calm, and the distant calls of nocturnal creatures provided a soothing lullaby. Nothing eventful happened that night. We just set up camp and enjoyed each other's company. Saturday morning dawned, and we spent the day swimming, laughing, and exploring the nearby trails. The lake's clear water invited us to venture deeper, and we swam out to a large, solitary rock that rose like an ancient monument from the depths. As the day turned to dusk, we gathered around the campfire, sharing stories and toasting marshmallows. But as darkness fell, an unsettling feeling washed over us. The once inviting waters now seemed ominous and spooky. One of my friends, Mia, couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. She kept glancing over her shoulder, her eyes darting around the dark shoreline. The rest of us chuckled at her unease, dismissing it as a product of the spooky campfire tales we'd shared earlier. But as the night wore on, the rest of the friend group began to feel uneasy. Strange sounds echoed through the woods, a twig snapping here, a rustling of leaves there. Each time we brushed it off as an animal in the forest. Yet I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something else, something more disturbing lurking in the shadows. As the night grew darker, we heard distant voices carried by the wind, whispering words we couldn't comprehend. Our laughter faded, and a heavy silence settled over the campsite. I saw Mia's face pale, and her eyes widened with fear. She pointed towards the lake, stammering, "Do you see that?" We followed her gaze and saw a faint light moving on the water's surface, like an ethereal beacon. As we squinted, trying to make sense of it, the light abruptly vanished, leaving us in darkness once more. A chill ran down my spine, and a sudden realization struck me. We were not alone. Someone or something was out there, watching us from the shadows. In a bid to reassure ourselves, we tried to rationalize the strange occurrences. Maybe it was just another group of campers or hikers passing through, but deep down, we knew it was more than that. The atmosphere was charged with an unknown energy, and a sense of dread hung in the air like a thick fog. Unable to ignore our instincts any longer, we decided to pack up and leave the lake immediately. We hurriedly doused the fire and gathered our belongings, casting fearful glances over our shoulders as we made our way back to the car. We heard snaps of twigs and rustle of leaves around us, but every time we shined over our flashlight to the noise, we heard no one was there. Still, we had adrenaline coursing through our veins, like we had to hurry up our pace faster, otherwise we'd be in real danger. We don't know what caused our bodies to respond like this or what it was responding to. All we knew is we had to get out of there as fast and calm as possible. As we got to our car and drove away from Lake Ravenwood, the ride was quiet. All of us were trying to make sense of what that was. Why did we feel the need to get out at that moment? We were all lost in thought. None of us dared to speak of the strange events that transpired that night, but we all carried the unspoken burden of what we had encountered. To this day, none of us has gone back to that lake. We all agreed to bury what we experienced and to never relive that again, which I'm fine with. It was the end of summer. Myself and a group of old college friends decided to reunite at Blackwater Lake for a weekend of reminiscing and laughter. We had heard tales about the lake's haunting beauty and its mystical legends, but we were all too eager to escape the pressures of adulthood and relive the carefree days of our youth. As we arrived at the lake, the sun was beginning to set, casting a warm golden glow over the water. Excitement filled the air as we set up our tents and prepared for a night of reliving the good old days, drinking and stargazing. Little did we know that the tranquility of the lake would soon be shattered by something far more sinister. Saturday morning dawned with clear skies and a refreshing breeze. We spent the day hunting, kayaking and exploring the dense woods that bordered the lake. The wilderness seemed alive, with singing birds and rustling leaves creating a harmonious symphony. As the sun dipped below the horizon, we gathered around the campfire, eager to relive old memories and check in with each other. Laughter echoed across the lake, and the warmth of the fire with a cold beer was the perfect mix of a good night. As darkness descended, the atmosphere changed. The once jovial mood gave way to unease. Shadows moved on the fringes of our vision, and strange noises seemed to echo from all directions. We laughed nervously, attributing it to our imaginations. But as the night progressed, the unease deepened. A feeling of being watched permeated the air, and each rustling leaf sounded like footsteps closing in. My friend Alex, who was always the most rational among us, suggested it was just the result of an overactive imagination and the spooky setting. He reminded us that we came to the lake because it was supposedly haunted, so our unconscious minds are creating a spooky setting for us. As we continued sharing stories, a sudden gust of wind extinguished the campfire, plunging us into darkness. Our laughter turned to silence as we tried to relight the fire, but the wood refused to catch. A chill settled over us, and the once clear night sky seemed to cloud over. Amidst the darkness, I noticed a pair of red eyes in the woods. At first I thought it was a bug reflecting the light of our fire, but then I remembered. The fire is out. Fear gripped me, and I tapped my friend Jim, pointing towards the red eyes. His face mirrored my terror as we all strained to see what it could be. Then a low growl emerged, sending shivers down our spines. Again Alex, the most rational among us all, whispered, "Whatever that is, coyote or not, it doesn't matter. We need to get the F out of here." Panic took hold, and we scrambled to gather our belongings. In our haste, we stumbled over each other, desperate to leave the lake behind. As we hurriedly packed up, the eyes suddenly vanished, leaving us in darkness once more. Fear fueled our retreat, and we made our way back to the car as quickly as possible. With each step away from Blackwater Lake, the sense of dread began to lift, replaced by an overwhelming sense of relief. None of us spoke about the strange events that transpired that night as we drove away. Each of us carried the unspoken knowledge that something unnatural had unfolded at the lake. Looking back, Alex and I talked about it for a brief moment. Whatever that was in the woods, it was territorial. It appeared to warn us to leave, or else we were going to be harmed. We felt that message without needing to be told. We may not like it, but sometimes you need to respect the native animals living in the woods. Coyote, wolf, whatever will be territorial. We have not gone back to that lake. I feel lucky we all made it back safely without any serious bodily injury. Next time we plan on going to a lake that we know and love with our limited vacation time.